you found the skeleton, how would you tell people that was you personally? How would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on this.
Hello, everybody. We are here for Matt with Maddie. I am here as Dapper Dinosaur, and Maddie is here looking very pensive tonight.
Hi. I was having to resist the urge to start a story because you gave me the warning of here we go a little too early, Dapper, and the silence was dragging out, and I was like, I need to fill the silence with something.
And you filled it with pensiveness.
I filled it with pensiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah, staring into the void.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's a perfectly acceptable thing to do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody. So first of all, the first thing I got to say is, hey, we're probably in for some technical difficulties because my computer has been doing technical difficulties as its main job for like the better part of the last week. So Maddie is already starting the 25 drink counter that we have. And I will be going through some stuff while she does that because it'll probably take her a little bit. Let's see. We got 10 gifted memberships from Lieutenant Matt the Navigator, 5 from Metageeky Platypus Librarian, and 10 from Templar Warden. We also got a Hail Zinch from Orange Dot 432. So I don't know if I can fully endorse such heresy, but I mean, you know, I was going to say, I guess if you have to go for a Chaos God, Zinch is okay, but no, I actually think Zinch might be the worst one. That might be the worst Chaos God to follow.
Warhammer thing?
It is a Warhammer thing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, my husband's been getting really into Warhammer.
Oh, good.
But like the video games and books more so than the tabletop.
That's where most of the lore is anyway.
Yeah. And so now you guys talk about Warhammer stuff, and he talks about Warhammer stuff.
Maddie, just get into Warhammer.
Me, I don't know. Okay, hold on. I have 15 more drinks to get through. Keep talking.
Okay. All right. So we are here for taking a look at the viral video that Raw Matt posted. This is basically the only reason I think anyone knows who he is. This video got millions of views. I'm not kidding. It is atrociously dumb, which, I mean, it's made by Raw Matt, the guy who thought that you could perhaps survive without eating indefinitely. So, you know, we're not off to a great start. But yeah, there are a few things. One, we do have 25 drinks on the board because we do have a drinking game, and every gifted membership is a drink. And we did not get quite to the part where we just down our drink and go get another one, but we got to 25, which might be close anyway. So I want to say thank you for that. We'll go through some more of the drinking rules. So first of all, if you decide to play along, please be careful, pace yourself. Don't, you know, get drunk and like text your ex or drive a car, operate heavy machinery, fly a plane. Don't do those things. Also, you are perfectly welcome to either not play along or to play along with something that isn't intoxicating. You want to play along with water, juice, tea, coffee, soda, I don't know. M&Ms, chips, whatever you want. It's fine. This is just for fun. It also doesn't actually matter. And like, I can just arbitrarily decide that something's a drink. However, our official drink triggers include gifted memberships, but also if the creationist in question just, you know, says something that's too dumb, and we just kind of have to, or if they actually get something that's factually correct, but it's not just a cite, like a quotation from a source that they're citing. So if you just read out to me like a big section of some book that happens to be right, I don't care. That's not you. That's you, the book being right, not you. You're at best choosing a good book to cite, which cool, but not enough. Let's take a drink. If there's a joke that doesn't land, which in this case, because this one video doesn't have an audience, it means it's just us. So if a joke doesn't land, we'll take a drink. Sometimes we miss that they're jokes, and you guys have to point that out to us. This is because sometimes they're so unfunny that we don't even recognize it as a joke. That happens a lot, actually. Well, let's take a drink. If they tell a story that doesn't happen, and again, that is a bit of a judgment call, but it's, you know, if we think it seems so implausible that we don't believe it happened, we take a drink. We'll take a drink if Matt here, Raw Matt, mentions that at one time popular in Germany political party that is of increasing popularity in some places, including the former United States. We will also take We'll also take a drink if Raw Matt mixes up what we can know about Lucy from just her specimen with what we can know about any larger taxon from any of the specimens of that taxon. We call that an ad hominid. We only get one of those per stream. We will also take a drink if Maddie or I can predict what is coming next when it's not very, very obvious. And we will also take a drink if I screw up the production. So, for instance, if I decide that I'm going to switch the wrong scene, that's a Dapper's a professional. However, if something crashes, which spoiler alert, OBS has already crashed 4 times on me in the last hour. So when I say we might be in for some technical difficulties, I mean it.
Listen, I'm calling an audible for tonight. And the audible that I am calling is as follows. If you have technical difficulties and that causes issues with the stream, so something that is not a Dapper as a professional trigger, I vote that for tonight we have a Gremlins trigger. It's the tech Gremlins.
I don't know how much extra I want to drink, but maybe.
Maybe.
We will also take a drink if anyone membership or milestone chats anything with any of our kaiju emojis, that's Mothra, Godzilla, and Ghidorah, or that says anything to the effect that answers in Genesis are a bag of dicks. We will also take a drink if, let's see, if Mothra or Ghidorah come by audibly. And I think I just covered all of them. And that means it's time for me to take 25 drinks, which means it's time for Maddie to explain what she thinks Warhammer 40,000 is on the basis of having heard me and her husband talk about it.
Okay. Warhammer 40,000 is thus named because it takes place in the year 40,000, at which point in time humans have spread all throughout the galaxy, but then there's also other aliens, but then there's also weird human alien tech hybrid things that exist. Something is called the Mechanicus, and they're like, flesh is bad, you should be a machine. I think there's space elves too. And then there's this guy, and by guy I mean god, but it's a machine, but it was a guy. He's the emperor. And you have to kill and feed him 1,000 souls every day for him to stay immortal. And like press X to doubt that that's actually real. But that's just me. That sounds like a great measure of control. There's some subset of the folks who are specifically in the lore all male, and that caused a bunch of obnoxious neckbeards to get real mad at the existence of any female characters in any of the other ones that weren't the all-boy ones. The Space Marines? Are the Space Marines all boys?
I've finished my 25 drinks. The Space Marines are indeed all male.
Okay.
That was...
How am I doing?
I would say that was probably a... 3 out of 10. I recognize everything you said, but I would not call it an accurate summary.
Cool, but question. What of what I said was actually false?
Well, the Emperor isn't a machine.
Okay.
Let's see. He is considered to be a god, and there's some evidence that he actually is a god in the setting.
Okay.
For one thing, he manages to imbue various Imperial saints with actual power that allows them to perform miracles.
Amazing.
So, like, that seems like compelling evidence of some degree of divinity.
Yeah. Emperor God.
He's on a mechanical throne that keeps him alive. Yeah. And also, he's considered to be an incarnation of the machine god by the Mechanicus.
Okay.
Which doesn't make him a machine in itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing that I said wrong was that he was a machine.
That's the thing that I would say is the most wrong thing that you said. There were other stuff that was a little off.
Okay.
So like, yeah, but also there are space elves.
Okay. Great.
Yep. And there are space orcs too.
Is it 40,000 because it's 40,000 years in the future?
It's because it primarily takes place in the 41st millennium, which starts in the year, 40,001, but like that doesn't look good on a label.
Yeah. Okay. So I was like adjacently correct. Like I wasn't wrong.
Yeah, you were. It was, like I said, it's recognizable, but not quite there. But you know what?
Okay.
That was pretty good, and it covered my 25 drinks. Katie Lewis, for $5, says, the Dapper Dinosaur / Chesh the Goblin Queen Tingler is going to be published on AO3 May 1st. This is the final warning. Speak now or roll for damage. Oh, yep.
Amazing.
Yep. And it's
Amazing.
not human suit Dapper and human suit Chesh. It is small goblin and dinosaur.
If you'll excuse me, I'm going to go bookmark that in AO3 because, hey, Dapper, I'm going to be on a stream without you on May 1st.
Oh, geez. I'm so screwed. All right. Narada puts, who's been a member for 31 months, says, call the tech gremlin restless machine spirits. Yeah, basically. I don't know what it is. Look, here's what it really is. See, I have a Thurable, an Adeptus Mechanicus Thurable on my wish list on Throne, and no one has got it for me yet. So I cannot propitiate my machine spirits properly without the Thurable. So, and if you don't know what... Yeah, Maddie knows what a Thurable is, but I'm not sure if everyone else does. And I say that because Maddie's Anglican, and Anglicans use Thurables sometimes.
Oh, I do know what that is. I don't go to the service anytime we use it.
I had to prime the Christianity part of Maddie's brain.
Yeah, listen, I was searching AO3 for Dapper Dinosaur.
Which is not the Christianity part of your brain. I get it.
Yeah. Can't go to service when we use the thing because it triggers my asthma.
Boo. Rail got Dubella for $5.
Yeah.
Says, good job, Maddie. You could have saved the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo and been closer. You could have said the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo and been closer. That's not fair. She was definitely closer than that.
Listen, there are space elves.
There are space elves. And there is, in fact, a faction that is canonically all male. And there are a bunch of neckbeards who are angry anytime any female pops up anywhere in the entire franchise. Despite the fact that, spoiler alert, women in 40K go back to Rogue Trader, the initial publication of the setting, back in the 80s. There were female miniatures in some of the very first production runs for Warhammer 40K. The earliest, I believe, were called Female Adventurer and were released along with the Rogue Trader, but not physically inside, but at the same time as the Rogue Trader box set. And they could be heroes who could lead various squads. Because remember, Rogue Trader was more of a, like, role-playing game with skirmish rules than it was a war game. So, but yeah. So, sorry, neckbeards. Turns out women have been around in 40K for just as long as anything else. Longer than many things. So, there you go.
Yeah, like that.
All right. So we do have a 30 super chat goal. If we meet it, we will, one, be able to drop more F-bombs, and two, we will have an English as she spoke reading. Now, I have rewound this video about, like 7 seconds, just so we can get a full sentence from Matt. We've already talked about the first bit where he says science has found a bunch of boreholes, which were for oil exploration, or which discovered the boreholes, whatever. It's dumb. Science didn't discover those. People just made them. Whatever. Rail got Bella for $2 says, neckbeards being mad at women is most things, though. True. It is true. And look, the most recent thing was like, oh, we released heads that can let you turn your Adeptus Custodes miniatures into girls. And I'm like, okay. And like, well, how? It's like there were never girl custodians before, and then Games Workshop was just like, yes, there were. We just didn't talk about them, which is lame. It's lame that you're just like, we just didn't talk about them. That doesn't seem plausible, but whatever. It's not technically a retcon, but also, if you don't like it, they also give you enough helmets to give everyone a helmet. Just give everyone a helmet, and then when someone asks if your Custodes is male or female, say neither. They're living death in golden armor. There you go. Problem solved.
The person in particular I was thinking of who had some real hot takes about how girls are icky was Sargon.
Oh, well, that would be one of them. Oh, Gup23, who's been a member for 45 months, is at the Tetrapod level, says, the Onion finally got InfoWars AIG's bag of dicks, and they sure did. Which is awesome.
What a beautiful logo. Guys, can we get a quick cheers for trans rights?
Absolutely. And also,
that was a full coherent thought, I promise.
Yeah, the onion being the O in info, it just works so well. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's just the InfoWars logo, but with like a pride. Yeah. Then I was like, oh, wait, no. There's an onion in there. Oh, I get it.
Yeah, I like it.
It's so good.
And I like seeing the InfoWars pride. That was the pride colors. That was so good with the onion. So good.
Oh yeah. All right. we got to hit play on this, Maddie, at some point.
We've got to hit play. I hate this video and I'm ready to be done with it.
We
and
only
we're
have a half an hour left. We're 2/3 of the way through
Yeah,
it. It's been months.
no, we aren't. It was 50. Oh, we've done 51 minutes and there's 29 minutes to go. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Let's do it.
The flood of Noah lines up with the evidence that we see in the world today. Scientific investigation has revealed over 1,800 oil well boreholes from 4 different continents have all been compiled and mapped. The newly
That's not a real sentence, Matt.
Pause it.
We were muted. There's a Dapper's a professional drink. Just take a couple drinks, everybody.
Amazing. By the way, I'm drinking my favorite beer for Matt with, which is Bearded Theologian.
Hooray!
It's a beautiful Belgian quad made by a local Tulsa brewery.
Technically, that actually wasn't Dapper's a professional. That was an OBS crash. So that's fun.
Yeah, but not unmuting this was a Dapper as a professional. So there was a Gremlins trigger and then a Dapper as a professional trigger.
No, it just started with us muted because apparently it just decided to do that.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
Hello.
Hello. Am I still sharing?
No.
Of course not. So you can see how the days have been going lately. Oh, there goes OBS again. Hi, Maddie.
Dopper's day has been bad.
This has been going on for days.
I'm so sorry. I can see now.
Bitcore sent something with Godzilla in it, and it's in Japanese, a language I don't read.
Here's, I'm gonna drink for Godzilla.
Okay, I'm just gonna hit play.
Okay, and we were laughing at his intonation.
Yes.
That's all.
The
Laugh at his
working
intonation, everyone. Continue.
map tracks the thickness and extent of each rock type as they were laid down by the flood. This research
We've already been over this. These are records of sea transgressions. And of course, boreholes will reflect that because they're digging into the ground that was made by the sea transgressions. So obviously, this isn't news. This isn't additional information. This is just, duh. This is spoon found in kitchen.
So, to remind everyone, the sea transgression is when basically just the where the ocean is changes slowly over time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it is a low energy, slow event, not a high energy, fast event like a flood.
Exactly. So there are places in geologic history that used to be underwater that are not today.
Right. That's it. It's not that much more complicated than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
reveals the same 6 mega sequences of each sedimentary rock deposit across multiple continents. Each mega sequence contains a huge stack of rock, often with coarse grained sandstone on the bottom, then finer grained deposits like shale, then topped by limestones. Each mega
The problem with this, well, actually, there's a few problems here. First of all, one of the big problems is that a flood wouldn't do this repeatedly. It would do it once because it's one flood. So there's that. Also, not all the mega sequences are sorted according to grain size. There's the other thing. Like, you can find areas where that's the case, but you can find areas where it's not. And there is no option for that under a single global flood. Sorry.
Right. And secondarily, under the type of flood that would be required for Noah's flood, right? This is also not what you would get, right?
Yeah.
Because you need slow time, right? Because this is time for heavier sediments to settle out, right? And then the lighter sediments, and then you have critters turned into limestone, right? Which takes an inordinate amount of time.
Templar Warden for 20 New Zealand dollars says the worst chaos god is Nurgle because that's the only one that has a herald in our real world. I mean, that is a compelling point. I don't know if you know this, Maddie, but RFK Jr. is in fact a herald of Nurgle.
That makes sense. I don't even know who Nurgle is, and I'm like buying it completely.
He's the god of plagues and disease.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah.
And rot, also the god of rot, but also the god of the new life that springs up after the earth has been fertilized by all the rotting, diseased flesh.
So he's both the god of RFK's brain and the worms that thrive there.
Yes. Yep. And your ability to grow crops.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why Nurgle's domain in the realms of chaos are called the Garden of Nurgle, because it's a garden. He grows stuff there. Not stuff that you might want to go encounter, but stuff nonetheless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really want to, in the like London gardens, there is a garden of entirely poisonous. I have to say venomous. That's not right. Poisonous plants.
I mean,
and
venomous plants are possible. We're back.
Yay.
There were venomous plants or poisonous plants, but you know, here's to soothing the machine spirits. F ice AIG is a basket of boils and sessile tunicates emoji, and I'll take a drink. Thank you.
Cheers.
So yeah, this is going well today. Earlier today, I couldn't log into my computer at all, and I didn't think I would be able to stream. Period.
That's so fun.
Yeah. The computer was like, "Oh, hey, you should put in your PIN." Oh, wait, no, you can't put in your PIN. Would you like to reset your PIN? Oh, wait, no, you can't. Would you like to search on the internet for an application that will let you change your PIN? Then I said, sure. And it was like, well, you're not logged in, so we can't search the internet. Bye.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's
That's
been
really upsetting.
kind of a disaster of a day. In fact, after this, I'm debating whether or not I should go through more troubleshooting steps or if I should do Star Trek. You know what? Actually, we'll do a poll. All right. Okay, here we go. This is going to be the poll. Would you mind if I did troubleshooting instead of Star Trek? So there we go. Now we can find out. Would people mind if I continue to troubleshoot my computer? It is Windows 11 because of course it is. This is actually the worst experience with Windows 11 that I've had so far. Overall, it actually has not been as bad as most people have been having in terms of like their experience with it. But like right now, yeah, it's super. Oh, Babaton says, what happened to password? Wasn't given as an option is what happened to it.
Great.
Yep. I checked and they were like, well, you just use this symbol to access your login options and use password. I was like, oh, the symbol that isn't currently actually on my screen, that one? Cool. Yeah, I'll use that one.
A sequence is bounded above and below by flat, eroded surfaces called unconformities.
Oh, okay. So, a few things. If they're flat eroded surfaces, then we do have evidence of erosion in the geological column, which is something that creationists often like to say we don't have. Flux Chamber for $10 says, AIG is an ensemble of sloppity bile pipers. Ah, yes, sloppity bile piper. One of my favorite heralds of Nurgle, just for the name. And Enlighten the Ignorance for $2 says, I love how Win Don't is just vibe coded now. Yeah, that's another thing that's really great about Windows, is that it's just... It's just an AI slot machine now. And if I had known it was an AI slot machine beforehand, I probably would have looked into more alternatives. But as it is, I don't know. I just don't know. So yeah, Sloppy Bile Piper though, it's fun guy. You should look him up sometime. Not right now. Sloppy Bile Piper, or ask your husband. Like, hey, husbando, what's a sloppity bile piper? He'll tell you.
Sloppity. It's a fun word, sloppity.
Yes. It came with it was a fun miniature too. I don't actually know if like he's currently playable in either of the games or any of the games, I suppose, because Old World counts. But it was a cool mini. Came out in like I think like the mid to late aughts. Anyway, here's Matt admitting that we have all of these, and also unconformities aren't always flat. In fact, sometimes they take the form of paleo canyons, so that's fun.
What?
Yeah,
That's cool.
What has been discovered from both a creationist as well as from a secular understanding is that much of the continental fossil record was already in place before any of the present-day ocean crust had come into existence.
I mean, that's true for some of it. The
Yeah.
oceanic crust is heavy, right? So it subducts a lot, which means that overall, sorry, its state time is a lot lower than the continental crust. Like, continental crust can persist for like 4 billion years, no problem. Oceanic crust has trouble persisting for much more than like a few 100 million years. So like, that's
And
true.
Most of it's recycled in like 200,000.
Yeah. There might be some crust in the middle of the Pacific that's like, hundreds of millions of years old, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Most of it's
Yeah,
not.
in the Atlantic, that's going to be like, it's orders of magnitude. One, it takes way longer to make continental crust than it takes to make oceanic crust, but it's also easier to destroy oceanic crust than it is to destroy continental crust.
Yep. So yeah, that's just to be expected from plate tectonics.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, why does he think this is weird?
I don't know. Probably because of catastrophic plate tectonics, I guess. Which just agrees that the ocean crust would be younger than the continental crust, which means it's not really determinative between like science and young Earth creationism. It's just like, sure, it's younger, but like you're still off by orders of magnitude. Sorry.
Yeah.
7 typically is the typical number of orders of magnitude. 7. Maddie, how would you?
By the way, the oldest rock we have found is 4.1 billion years old, and the oldest mineral we have found gets to like 4.4, 4.5. Anyway,
Zerlon
if you're thinking about
says,
ages of continental crust.
Zerlon says oldest ocean crust is estimated to be 260 to 300 million years old. Yep, that's about how old I would expect, and it would probably be in the middle of the Pacific.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Here we go.
For example, all of the trilobite fossils had been deposited. Plus, all of the older coal deposits had already been formed before any of the present-day ocean crust had formed.
Therefore, what? Like, I'm tracking.
I'm trying
What's
to
up?
think. Is that is that actually true? And yeah, probably. Yeah, that does seem to be true.
Probably.
Well, hold on. No,
Yeah, for like
all the trilobites? No, because they lived through the entire. Wait, hold on. When did the Triassic period start?
I don't know. Sorry, those aren't numbers I keep in my head.
I normally would know.
I can Google it.
But it's been a day.
Give me a second. I'll Google it. When did the Triassic end?
Yeah, 201. So no, it's not true that the Oh no, I'm thinking Permian, not Triassic. No, but it doesn't matter because that's when it started. So yeah, it started 210 million years ago, which means that there was it started 250 million years ago, which means that there's 50 million years of oceanic crust that does exist at most that might have been around with the trilobites, but it's still the case that like almost no ocean crust. Yeah. So this is one of those things where it's like this is either true, it's close enough to true, that's probably fine. We'll take a drink for it. It's good enough.
Yeah, that's one of those things that like this is so specific and like unrelated to creationism that I kind of assumed he didn't make it up, because why would you? But you're right that I should never give Ramat the benefit of the doubt.
No, we don't give him the benefit of the doubt because this is the man. This is the man who again thought that maybe breathing maybe eating wasn't necessary to survival. And who also wrote an entire article about how Probainognathus doesn't have molar teeth, while showing pictures of Probainognathus' molar teeth in the article.
I love that. That's so joyous.
It was great. And let's not forget the time that he faked a PLOS paper and then just 4 months ago said, "No, I didn't. You guys."
We photoshopped that? That's his claim?
His claim was he never claimed it was a PLOS 1 paper. But here's the thing. When you put the logo and a fake DOI link, there is literally no other reason to do that than that you're claiming it was published. That's it.
Yeah.
That right there is a claim that it was published by PLOS. Period.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what else you have to say. I don't care how you might have carefully characterized what you were posting when you were posting the Google Docs link. And we was like, well, it was just a Google Docs file. Matt, I need you to understand something. You have shown yourself to be too stupid for us to think that that's a good reason to think that you weren't serious about this. You didn't think breathing was required for life, Matt. You think we think that you're smart enough to know that you shouldn't be using a Google document for this purpose? No, we think you're that dumb. Please disabuse us of that notion by getting smarter. But so far, haven't happened. So yeah. And also that was one on his channel that other than this video, no one watches any of it. So I didn't know that happened, even though it happened 4 months ago that he made this.
Amazing.
Yeah, because 4 months ago, Dr. Dan put out a video that mentioned that, and then went on to talk about how even the papers that are quote unquote published in like the ARJ, they're just as fake as Raw Matt's paper.
Yeah.
They're just fake in a slightly less dishonest way.
Yeah.
Since in creationist understanding, the presence of fossils is a completely trustworthy indicator of Noah's flood.
Okay, but that's dumb and doesn't follow. So
it's dumb and doesn't follow.
So who cares? In fact, that's dumb enough that I'm going to take a drink for it. Which, by the way, I have moved on to my second drink.
I'm almost there.
Maddie's taking tiny sips.
I am. This beer is 8.4.
Ooh, that's pretty hefty for a beer. Jeez.
Belgian quad.
I'm at 5.4, so yeah, okay. You're drinking almost twice as much as me for every volume that you drink, so fair enough.
Yeah, I have another Belgian quad in my fridge that's like over 10%, but I didn't pull that out. That one's called DNR.
Seriously.
For a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's delicious though. That's made by another local brewery. If you ever come out here to, confront Bad Jackson in person, I'll get you some.
I'm still debating how much longer I'm going to be in the United States.
Fair.
Yeah.
Not me looking at international jobs today.
I already had a bunch of genealogy stuff sent to me by my sister. Her husband just sent off his package to go get a new citizenship in a different country.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And if my package or my sister's package works, it'll work for my mom and all my siblings and the nieces and nephews. So
oh my gosh, amazing.
Yeah, because we would all be using the same ancestry to get the ancestry-based citizenship. So, yep.
Yeah.
It could be that the entire dapper dinosaur family might just get out of Dodge. I don't know.
There.
We'll all just chip in and get a place.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess that wouldn't work for my dad, but he's Irish anyway. He can go live in Ireland. Dutch Tunicate official who's been a member for 23 months says, I love local brewers. Also, I'm starting to sound like Kent Hovind. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit play, and I'm going to fix that while it plays.
That sounds great.
That much of the flood damage had already unfolded, and it generated fossil-bearing sediments on the continental surface before any of the present-day ocean floor had appeared.
Well, no, that's not true, because we definitely have fossils that are older than 300 million years old. Or 200 million years old. Sorry, are they younger than that? But anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
That's also, Matt, where's the tsunami? Because your model is that all these things are being buried by successive tsunamis. But we can recognize tsunami. Where is it? Because it's actually vanishingly rare overall in the fossil record.
It further implies that all of today's ocean floor formed since the onset of the flood during roughly the latter half of the cataclysm. It also means that all of the pre-flood ocean floor, plus the ocean floor formed during the earlier portion of the flood, must have been recycled into the Earth's interior during the cataclysm.
Okay, so this is catastrophic plate tectonics, and it's very silly because it is regular plate tectonics accelerated, right?
Yeah. It's just like, what if it just happened?
Did we freeze again?
And we're back.
Okay. I'm finishing my drink for the gremlins.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Why couldn't this process just happen orders of magnitude faster? Oh boy howdy. because that would generate so much heat just from the friction, right? That the whole planet would be melted.
Yeah.
That's the answer. That's not like, if that process happens over a long period of time, then not much heat is generated when you're moving like order of magnitude a couple millimeters a year,
Yeah.
right? A lot of heat is generated if you're moving like hundreds of miles.
Yes.
Thousands of miles. Yeah, found. Yeah,
Yep.
it was like,
Yeah. Dutch Tunicate official for
I had to do
$5.
scale in my brain.
You know what? You did way better with the scale than Creationists do, because you went from hundreds to thousands, which is one order of magnitude difference, whereas they're usually off by 7, which is kind of like saying that the distance between where I live in Tucson and New York City is, you know, a few centimeters.
Yeah,
It's like
it's
New
at
York.
least that.
New York is basically touching me at this point, according to Creationist math.
I mean, like on the scale of the universe.
That's true. On the scale of the universe, I am basically right next door. Actually, what was it? Clint's Reptiles made that joke the other day about was it salamanders? It was like they're named after like, it was like Morocco or something, and they only live in like Louisiana, which cosmically speaking is basically the same thing. It's like, that's true.
Amazing.
Cosmically speaking, that is basically the same thing. Dutch Tunicate official for $5 says, I'm quite sad. Up until Trump 2, I was very convinced I wanted to stay and do ecology work in Minnesota. Now I'm trying to leave the country forever. Look, I don't blame you. And yeah, that it sucks. But like, stay safe. Do what it takes to stay safe. Right? I am pro people making sure that themselves and their families are safe. And like, yeah, the whole like, oh, you know, you got to stay and fix everything. Man, there's not much that is going to change about how I'm trying to fix things elsewhere, because I am not, I have enough various, you know, health problems that I'm probably not going to be out there like, you know, punching the Nazis. I'll be very ineffective at it. So I'm sticking with trying to counter certain aspects of their propaganda wings. That's what I can do. And frankly, if I end up doing it from a different country, it'll be just as effective.
Yeah.
So
I think what's important to remember is that like there are lots of different ways to fight the regime, right? And you got to find the way that's going to work with your skills and talents and resources, you know?
And disabilities for that matter.
And disabilities. Yeah.
Light in... sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Light in the Ignorance for $2 says, take a drink for the heat problem with an AIG as a bag of dicks, which is actually a drink trigger. So we'll take a drink. Thank you. Okay. Also, I am not an expert at getting other passports and whatnot. So like, if you ask me directly, because I know people sometimes ask me about these things like this, my current advice is going to be, you should find someone who's done it or find an immigration lawyer in the target country. I am not either of those people. So anything I tell you will be like third-hand hearsay. So don't trust me.
Considerations indicate in a compelling way that rapid plate tectonics must have been a major aspect of the...
What is the thing that indicates this? Because it's so far literally nothing. In fact, everything you've pointed out so far, Ramat, has been incompatible with this. So we're going to need something more than CGI ripples.
Yeah. Well, this is cut from Nova, right, on PBS. And I'm guessing they're just showing what this could have been Fukushima, right?
You know what I bet this was? I bet this was the Chicxulub impactor at the end of the Cretaceous.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He could have cut together this to this.
Yeah.
I was assuming that followed. That was silly of me.
But either way, CGI ripples aren't going to cut it.
But catastrophe. This 6 mega-sequence worldwide flooding process perfectly set the stage for the subsequent ice age and the creation.
Go ahead, Maddie.
Nothing about the existence of geological layers implies an ice age. Ice ages happen it's at most a like 60 to maybe 100,000 year cycles, right? Like that's different scales. That's different scales for where we see these things. And like would there be some evidence of ice age in geologic record? Like there definitely can be, right? You can see like where glaciers cut away and things like that, right? Or like extra water. I'm not a geologist. I took geology 101 and I made a B. But like but what about ocean floor spreading is related to an ice age?
Nothing.
Please someone explain it to me.
Nothing, but here's what he's going to say. He's going to say that increased ocean temperatures lead to increased evaporation rates, which lead to increased precipitation, which in some places falls as snow, so it's cold and an ice age.
That's not how that works.
I know. But if it did work that way, then it would explain the ice age.
Here's what would happen.
Okay.
Increased temperature leads to increase. This is a known thing. This is
No,
cloud
I know. I
albedo
just
feedback.
like the tone that you're starting with.
This is such my teacher tone. My college students have been making fun of me for gentle parenting. Anywho, okay. Increased temperature does cause increased evaporation, right? I would like to point out that increased evaporation does not override existing patterns of like persistent high and low pressures from like the Hadley Feral and polar cells, right? So increased evaporation at the equator, right, doesn't cause the Antarctic to not desert, right? Okay. Then what happens is that evaporation goes up and we see, right, cloud banks over global low pressure systems such as like around the equator, right? That's a great place. You'll see almost persistent cloud bands even today. However, clouds are white, right? Things that are light in color are very good at reflecting sunlight. So increased cloud cover actually increases Earth's albedo, which means more of the incoming solar radiation reflects back to space before it can be absorbed by Earth and add to the heat of the Earth system. So the cloud albedo feedback is actually a negative, like it's a self loop, it's a negative feedback loop, right? Temperature goes up, increased evaporation, increased cloud weight, increased cloud cover, albedo goes up, therefore temperature goes down, right? So it's a negating effect. Okay, that's the cloud albedo effect. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Of a completely new seafloor of hot lava as a consequence. This caused an abnormal amount of evaporation.
See?
And thus
See?
continued
Confirmed prediction. We're taking a drink.
Okay.
That is, in fact, a confirmed prediction.
rain that was likely worldwide. The volcanic activity that created the Ring of...
No, stop. Dapper, do you know what the Hadley cell is?
I'm aware of what Hadley cells are. I didn't know there was the Hadley cell. What is that?
Earth has a Hadley cell, right? Okay. So Hadley circulation, right, is the circulation of the general circulation of the atmosphere of the planet, where you have rising motion at the equator, and then the air. So if the equator's here, right, then the air goes towards the poles, and it eventually sinks back down and returns along the surface to the equator. So this is the Hadley cell, or Hadley circulation. Okay. Note that the rising motion at the equator is associated with a low pressure, persistent lower pressure, and the sinking motion is associated with persistent high pressure. This is important because where you have persistent high pressure, you don't get rain, right? High pressure means no precipitation.
Is that
right?
why there's some
Obviously-
deserts there?
Yeah, that sure is why there's some deserts there.
Whoa.
The northern and southern extent of the Hadley cell is just a function of the planet's like size and mass and rotation rate. That's it. Right? How far north that persists. So if the Earth rotated really, really slow, it would go all the way to the pole. But we rotate fast enough that it ends at about 30 degrees latitude. And hey, there's a map right there on screen right this second. Hey, look, there's the Sierra Desert. That's also about the same latitude. We have a Sierra Desert. Jeez, the Sahara in Africa, that place.
I've heard of it.
Good God. Hey, oh my gosh, is that also where there's like a desert region in Mongolia at that same latitude? And where we in North America have desert regions out like in Nevada and California? I wonder why we have persistent deserts right around 30 degrees. Could it be that's the northern extent of the Hadley cell? So, my point is, even if we have this crazy boiling oceans enhanced evaporation, right? Okay, we have to come back to that. One, leading to excess rain and all that jazz. To do the math on like boiling ocean, not all of that is going to evaporate. The air pressure can only hold so much water vapor, but the warmer the air gets, but it's not going to.
Oh, you're cutting out a bit.
I'm ranting too.
A little bit. Real quick, Roshner for $5.02 says, everyone knows that the dome cracked and followed the magnetic field lines to make the ice age. Kent-Hovind emoji. Yes, everyone does know that. We're gonna kill Maddie. Also, sorry, Maddie, you were quiet a little earlier because I turned you down while you were screaming. So as not to blow out the audio, but then I forgot to turn you back up. So that's Dapper's a professional, so we'll take a drink for that.
Amazing. So even in this world that Ramet is describing, even if that's what was happening, this excess rain, it's going to be really hard for it to
That's
go
what she said.
further north than 30, right? So that's not going to cause global rain. That would enhanced rainfall near the equator on a very local scale. Notably, not even in the Near East, right? Not even in Iraq, right? So, Iraq's still a desert in this scenario.
Arrow Dodger for $4.99 says, Maddie would beat Raw Matt in a round of Street Fighter 3. I don't know if Maddie's even played it, but it doesn't matter. Maddie, I'm
so good at smashing buttons.
Okay, so you're a button masher when it comes to fighting games?
I am a button masher.
All right.
I
only own one fighting game, and it's Power Rangers Battle for the Grid.
Amazing. You guys need to understand that, like, I did not have video games as a kid, so serendipitously, I was able to play Pokemon Red, Crash Bandicoot, original Mario, and Mario Brothers 3, but not 2, just 1 and 3. And did I say Mario Kart?
No, you did not.
Okay, Mario Kart on the 64, and I was weirdly.
I'll assume you said you were weirdly good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That's the full extent of my video game experience.
We got to get Maddie to get a Steam account. Because she'll definitely have time for a Steam account.
I would have to purchase a PC because it's a Mac household.
You could get a Steam Deck.
Yeah, that's true.
Fire would have spewed volumes of ash and aerosols high into the atmosphere.
That's technically true. Volcanoes erupting does spew a volume of ash into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yes, it does in fact.
He's probably going to talk about sulfur dioxide. But
I think you're giving him too much credit. I think he's just going to say, ash reflects sunlight, make cold. I think that's what he's going to do.
Keeping the now frozen Earth in an ice age for hundreds of years to come.
No, he's not even going to go that far, apparently. Okay, he's just going to say
also,
it would.
The ice age lasted hundreds of years, Dapper.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, it had to last long enough to let everyone walk from Turkey to like South America and Australia. But then it had to be over fast enough so that like Abraham didn't notice it. Because he's right, he's like the next major figure. So like we got to make sure Abraham doesn't have to worry about the Ice Age. So yeah, obviously. Everyone just like hightailing it across Siberia and across Southeast Asia to get to Australia and North America.
Everybody's having to pull like Kenyans at the Olympics type speeds.
Oh yeah, yeah. Endurance running on like insane amounts of stimulants. Coffee's not going to cut it. We need something stronger.
Mm-mm. They can't even get to the coffee yet, Dapper.
That's true. Well, actually, I mean, isn't coffee native to Africa? Aren't like the first coffee plants in Africa? So it's not that far from Turkey.
Oh, I'm going to Google it.
Okay.
Where is coffee native to?
And sure enough, the first mega sequence's rocks show a spike in volcanic activity.
Okay. Wait.
Oh.
Wild coffee plants originated in Ethiopia.
Hey, that's Africa.
That is Africa.
And it's not just Africa. It's the Africa that's like pretty close to Turkey, all things being considered. Not as close as like Egypt, but like we're not talking like Ghana or South Africa or something, right? Where like that would be a trek.
Right. My bad. I was thinking, listen, I assume all foods I love are New World foods because potatoes are a New World food.
Potatoes, squashes, tomatoes. There's a lot of New World stuff. Basically, all the meat you eat is Old World, and a lot of the plants you eat are New World.
Yeah, I want to say that chocolate is New World, but now I'm less confident.
It is.
Okay.
It's South American. Also, many of the drugs you might take, if you're a recreational drug user, are also from the New World, including cocaine.
Guys, I think we should go back. You can grow whatever you like, but just don't do anything to it. Right? If you want to grow some cocoa plants and like chew on those leaves and mellow.
I think you mean coca, not cocoa.
Yeah, I did mean coca.
Because chewing on cocoa leaves isn't going to do much.
That's not going to do much, but yeah, but the other one.
Remember that time it became a minor scandal when Pope Francis had some cocoa leaf tea? Because I remember that. That was weird. People were like, oh my God.
That was weird.
The Pope just did cocaine. And it's like, that's technically true, but very technically. There's minuscule amounts of cocaine in that plant that drink that he just consumed. It is going to be a more mild stimulant than just a normal cup of tea, like black tea.
Yeah.
And massive amounts of carbon dioxide.
Matt, the carbon dioxide isn't gonna help. What are you talking about, Matt? Is that a joke that didn't land? Is that what just happened? I'm taking a drink.
We had a ice age for hundreds of years, and then there was CO2. Is that what we've said?
No, I think he thinks the CO2 is adding to the problem. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm taking a drink anyway because I don't care.
At this point, the newly formed continents drifted with great speeds, impacting one another,
Stop. The newly formed continents? He thinks that we just formed continental crust?
So I think what he means is that they're newly formed in the sense of they're now separate land masses, because his entire thing has been they're breaking up and forming new sea crust as they spread apart. So I think that that's just him being really bad at English and not him saying that the actual crust itself is newly formed during the flood, because I don't think that's what he's saying.
Okay.
I mean, if it is what he's saying, it would contradict virtually everything he said earlier. But then again, this is raw Matt. So, like, that's a distinct possibility. Remember, this is the guy who thought that old uranium is heavier, and so it sinks towards the middle of the Earth, and that's why we get older uranium dates the deeper down we go.
That's beautiful, actually.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just wondering, how do you measure the age of a single uranium atom? And of course, I just realized just now that the answer is you weigh it, and the heavier it is, the older it is. Because it's not like within a range, uranium atoms all have the same mass approximately or anything. No.
Nope. Nope, nope,
No, they
no.
just get young. They just get lighter as they get younger. Which, I mean, to be fair, some things do get heavier as they get older. Like me,
me.
exactly.
Mountains that we see in the world today. And, for the first time ever, new megasequence maps allow us to see how Noah's flood shaped our entire planet, just like the Bible said.
Yeah, but Matt, what you're very obviously showing us is just plate tectonics, but you're saying, yeah, but what if fast though? And the answer to what,
Yeah.
but what if fast though, is that it would melt the crust and boil the oceans. You wouldn't need a boat to survive. You would need like a hermetically sealed, thermally insulated spaceship to survive.
Just you would need a spaceship and go somewhere else.
Yeah. Gopher wood, no matter what kind of wood it is, isn't gonna cut it. Because when we're melting granite, wood isn't gonna survive.
No.
No.
Including reconfiguring the continents.
What? Musical interlude,
He
everybody.
just likes these. Yeah, he just likes these graphics.
I mean, it was a fun
we're making
graphic.
Himalayas.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
It was
Yeah.
fun. Like, I'm not gonna deny it. Like, sometimes Raw Matt has some fun B-roll. Like, remember the last month he had lots and lots of B-roll of Puma Punku, and while it didn't add anything to the argument, it was really cool.
It was so cool. And I just watched the Mini Minuteman episode. And it was so great.
Yeah, look, Puma Punku is unarguably extremely cool. It's not evidence of aliens or the flood of Noah, but it's really cool.
Also, Mini Minuteman just released a Young Earth Creationist video.
He sure did.
And like, he sure did. Guys, we need him to join the Science Friends. That would be so fun.
It would be fun.
To add an archaeologist to our team, that would be great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've got several geologists. We've got a couple evolutionary biologists. We've got a primatologist. We've got a meteorologist. We've got a general dinosaur guy who isn't actually a paleontologist, but who knows a lot about dinosaurs.
Well, and we have you who are very much a generalist in things Young Earth Creationists talk about, which is
that's true.
Incredibly useful. And like, I have spent way too much. I have spent and do spend way too much time on my like day job, right? Like, I don't even have a channel right now, so like I can't do the type of communication you do because I'm busy doing science.
Yeah.
Right. And so like having someone who is as well informed as you in a public space facing like science communication space is like, oh my god, it's so important and you're so valuable.
Thank you. Let's see, we've got a couple things. Being Sharper says, Dapper, we're technically still in an ice age, so I don't even know what he's talking about. That's true. We're in an interglacial period during an ice age. That is true. Humans are working on ending that ice age, but like we haven't done it yet. Is Dr. Dino a science friend? Not really, but he definitely knows a few of us. And like if he wanted to be better integrated into the group, I'm sure that would be fine. But right now he's a very busy guy. He's like actually going out on digs and such. So I'm not sure if he wants
for all of the parents in the room, if the science friends are the main 6 Paw Patrol pups.
Oh no.
Then Dr. Dino is kind of like tracker.
I don't know what that means. I'm happy about that. Don't explain it.
I'm not going to explain it.
Okay.
But it was a really good analogy.
I believe you. Deconstructing Laura, who's been a member for 6 months at the tetrapod level, says, hey, I caught one live. So glad to be here. Well, we're glad to have you here. And then Hillhugger, who's been a member for 44 months and is at the tetrapod level, says the magic zoo boat was actually a TARDIS. I mean, honestly, sometimes I think creation should just go with that. It was bigger on the inside. Just deal with it. Like, okay, that doesn't make it more plausible in the sense of like, that makes me believe it more. But at least it gets rid of a whole bunch of the objections that I might otherwise raise.
Yeah, if you're going to say it was a miracles all the way down, then like, we're not going to do a science stream about it.
Yeah, I'm just being like, all right, I reject that that's the true, but like, that's it. That's all I have. I can't
Yeah.
tell you that miracles didn't happen then. I wasn't around. I can just say that doesn't happen around that right now, but I don't know.
Yeah. I haven't said this in half a minute, but I've said this so many times, which is, if a young earth creationist, if their claim was, I understand that my beliefs about the age of the earth contradict scientific consensus, but I hold that belief on faith, none of us would talk about them. Right?
Yep.
Like, I don't actually find fault in that argument. I would disagree with it, like, theologically, but, like, for my own personal theology, right? But I am not a theologian. You know what I mean? I'm a scientist.
Yeah.
And so I might disagree with them, but I wouldn't be like, but here's all the reasons why you're wrong, because you're saying, like, this is my personal faith, and I'd be like, cool story, bro. You know?
Actually, that's one of the reasons that I have yet to ever cover a fairly prominent young earth creationist, Todd Wood, because that is basically his position. He's like, yeah, the evidence doesn't support young earth creationism. I believe it for theological reasons, and I'm working on trying to get evidence, but I'm not there yet. Like, all right, cool. Good luck. And I don't feel any particular need to counter that, because look, if you want to go on a snipe hunt, go on a snipe hunt. I can't stop you. And you're not claiming that you have the evidence now, which you absolutely do not. So, cool. Enjoy. I hope that brings you great happiness.
I think that might be the one, like, that's how to get out of the triangle argument of young earth creationists can either be, like, well-informed, honest, or young
earth creationists. You can only be two of those.
Oh, yeah. And so if you're gonna be all three, right, then the only way to be all three is to be honest that the scientific evidence does not support your faith claim.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, 75% said no, it would not bother them if I did troubleshooting instead of Star Trek. Which also, I got to point out, we're at 50 likes, but I have 121 people watching, which means, unfortunately, I have to say I like less than half of you, half as well as you deserve. You got Bilbo'd. Go hit that like button. We're going to be actually taking a quick break so we can do things like refresh drinks and such. And we'll be right back. And also, there we go. Maddie just had her video come back. Maddie, you were paused for a while. But all right, we are going to go to a quick intermission. And we are back. Welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us. Yep. Also, if you like those like and subscribe bumpers that we had going there, you can see how I made it over on Top Hats Off from last Friday's stream. So check that
Amazing.
out. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Oh, wait, no, it's the halfway point. I got to give my thing.
You gotta do your thing.
Hey, guys, I don't know if you noticed, but like, shit's rough over here. So if you want to help support the channel to make things slightly easier for me, check out the Patreon. Check out the channel memberships. Feel free to send gifted memberships or super chats. Or there's a merch store. I also have a throne wish list. So like, yeah, you could get me that Thurable so I can, more adequately propitiate the machine spirits, because maybe that'll help. I don't know. I feel like later on, maybe I'll just throw some salt at the computer and see how that does. Why not, right? All right, that's it. That's all I have for the commercial bit. If you can afford to and you want to, please check out those things. Also, you can render for me. There's directions in the description if you want to render for me, because some people will get angry if I don't mention that. Which actually, while computer problems are going, that'd be really helpful, because it's actually pretty hard for me to get any render time done on my own.
Here you go.
Sorry, listen.
So render for Dapper. Also, listen. No, I'm sorry. I forgot my train of thought. I've had just enough beard that I really want to go put on my dwarven yarn beard.
I mean, I won't stop you.
Okay, I'll be right back.
But I will hit play while you do it.
Okay.
Whoa. Musical interlude, everybody. Dance time, I guess. Look at that, Mount Everest. I don't know what this is for. I don't know what we're supposed to do with this. I mean, it is good B-roll, but like, so what, man?
The ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat on the 7th month of the 17th day of the month, and we now have evidence for this as well.
Oh no! Oh no! He's going with these archaeological things that are definitely not from the Ark. These drogue stones that are actually just place stones, and these carvings that were done by later Christians that have nothing to do with like Bronze Age identification of this site as the site of Noah's Ark. Oh, Matt, why? Why you gotta go Ron Wyatt? This is just full-on Ron Wyatt bullshit. I'm taking a drink. I'm taking a drink for just going full Ron Wyatt. Also, you know who disagrees? Oh, that's a very nice beard.
Thank you. I'm very proud of it.
You know who disagrees that this is evidence of Noah's Ark?
Do other creationists?
Yes. Answers in Genesis, the Institute, and we're back. But yeah, all of the major organizations for creationism say, no, please don't spread this. It's bullshit. Don't do it. This is not evidence of Noah's Ark.
Mm-hmm.
We have discovered two amazing things. At the base of Mount Ararat, they discovered many drogue stones.
It's drogue, but also no, they haven't. They've encountered some stones that have drill marks in them from who knows when, and that also have some later Christian carvings from, again, the Christian era. So we're talking like probably 3rd century and on, and probably later than that, since Christians weren't going around like making monuments in the 3rd century. Yeah, that's it. That's what we actually have. Some rocks with a hole drilled by someone at some point, and some Christian markings, and then this was only identified as like the location of the Ark centuries into the Christian era. Before that, it was largely identified with other mountains further south and west in Turkey. So like the identification of these mountains as the mountains of Ararat are actually like late antiquity or like early medieval. None of this actually makes sense. None of this works out. And all the other creationists know it.
Gigantic stones are strewn about as though they were cut from the ship as the water receded.
Matt, what does that mean? How could you tell? Oh. Hey, Maddie, I'm back.
Hi, I missed you.
Yeah, thanks. That was another Gremlins attack. So we'll take a drink. See why I say it's not OBS? Because that sure as heck wasn't OBS.
Mm-mm. Okay, so these are rocks with drill holes in them. What's his claim?
That these are drogue stones from the Ark.
Things that were used for ballast?
Yeah, basically. By dangling a rock down below the waterline and below the keel, what you're doing is you're lowering the center of mass of the ship to make it harder to capsize. Which is a real thing, right? Like, drogue stones are a thing that we know existed. But there's no evidence that these are drogue stones. And also, like we were saying, this is exactly the wrong part of the world to actually reasonably be where Noah's Ark came to rest, because the identity of these mountains as the mountains of Ararat is later, much later than the composition of any book of the Bible. Do
we know what
any book in the Old Testament
archaeologists think these stones are from?
So it's been a while since I looked into it, but my recollection is that there probably were just put there as monuments by like Neolithic people. For what reason, we're not sure.
But maybe they like drilled a hole to make it easier.
Maybe to identify them, or maybe to move them. Probably to identify them.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Yeah. And like they have later Christian carvings on them from much later. Yeah.
Cool.
And then Muslim populations have generally, after that they conquered the area, sort of just accepted the Christian tradition about this being the mountain of Ararat. But like, again, that was a late tradition that evolved after other mountains had already been identified as the more likely landing place of the Ark, which again also have no evidence of the Ark. So also, I just want to point out, you have to assume that Ark had drogue stones, which is not mentioned anywhere in the Bible. There's not a damn word about drogue stones in the Bible. Even associated with other boats. Actually, there's not a whole lot of boats in the Bible. I mean, there's boats in Job. That's true. Paul travels by boat.
Yeah, Jesus is on a boat sometimes.
Yeah.
Job is on a boat.
Job is on a boat.
No, not Job.
Not Job. No.
What is happening to my brain right now? Jonah.
Jonah. You know, if you want, there's a stream out there where I get Chesh to read through parts of Jonah in Klingon.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. The whole thing has been translated. You forgot what?
I'm sorry, I forgot how good a job I did on this beard. It's very luscious.
It is.
I should play dwarves more often.
You should.
Yeah.
They are almost in a straight line pattern over 8 miles approaching the mountains.
Nat, that doesn't sound like cast-off drogue stones, which would go tumbling every which way. That sounds like people put them there for some reason, intentionally.
Yeah. Listen, people like rocks. People like sticks. People like rocks.
It's true.
I don't think this can be overstated.
No. Look, to this day, every once in a while, I see a stick and I get that visceral reactions of saying like, that's a damn good stick right there. That's a great stick. And everyone knows what that means. It means it's a stick that looks like you could use it as a sword.
Yes. Absolutely.
What these are for is counterbalance for a ship during huge waves.
No, that's what drogue stones are for. You haven't actually demonstrated that these are drogue stones, Matt. You've just claimed that they're drogue stones.
You provided counter evidence for them being drogue stones.
Yeah. Oh, they're actually droog stones. They're apparently. Oh.
They're for drooging.
When they discovered these, they wanted to actually put this to the test and see that if a ship which weighed as much and was shaped like the Ark, would it withstand massive tidal waves. The results showed perfect results that line up exactly with what we would expect if Noah's Ark was true.
Okay, but Matt, that drogue stone's work was never in question. Yeah. The question is, are these drogue stones? And you've not given any reason for us to say that the answer is yes.
And also, do they work as heat shields?
There's another good question. Yeah, because drogue stones aren't going to help you while the crust is melting. In fact,
not going to help at all.
They'll be melting. Yeah, they'll melt themselves. Mm-hmm. Which that'll be fun.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Whoa.
Is it the drogue
This is
stone
just
test?
do drogue stones work?
Yeah.
This looks like a really cool lab, actually, that generates waves.
Oh yeah.
Wait,
This is our god is an
Plain-
awesome god.
like, our god is an awesome god,
Yep.
but like it's written for Gladiator.
I'm pretty sure this came through some kind of synthesizer, but yeah, like
Okay.
cool.
Now boil them. Now let them boil.
Right. Put it in a furnace and I'll see what happens.
Yeah.
As the
Oh, wait, hold on. We have to back up just a little bit. And I have to be ready on the pause button. And I'll bring Maddie back in just a second. Hey, Maddie, I'm back. Just in time for Maddie's Our God is an Awesome God.
All right. Okay, what are we looking at?
I'll have to be ready on the pause button. Oh, I went back way too far. Boo me. That's a Dapper's professional.
I want a wave camera though. I can do science with it.
It would be very cool. Almost. Sorry for going back too far, everybody. Yay. Okay. Hey, remember how I said that there were later Christian carvings on these rocks?
Oh yeah, that's cool.
There they are. That's what all those
There
crosses
we are.
are.
We found them.
Yup.
Huzzah.
I'm going to call that a confirmed prediction.
That's not so much a confirmed prediction, just as you
I'm
know.
thirsty.
shit.
I'm thirsty.
Okay.
Also, all the predictions I make are because I know my shit about creationists.
Fair.
So, yep, those are some of those Christian carvings. Yep. All right.
as the ship would roll and pitch, this would swing back and forth and up a little bit as the ship would pitch and roll, similar to a shock absorber in your car.
Thematically, I guess it's similar, but not actually similar. But like whatever.
Right. The physics is real different.
Yeah.
But continue.
And it's slowing down that momentum that would be
Slowing down the momentum. Is that how momentum works? Can you slow down momentum? Maddie?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Is that how the math works?
Momentum is mass times acceleration. So you could accelerate it less. Right.
created from that.
So
So quite a
Oh, hey, look.
so what would be
More Christian
happening?
carvings.
Right. It's I really think it's best to think of these things in terms of energy. I think it's a intuitive, right?
Okay.
The wave is imparting energy to boat, right? And also to the drogue stone. The drogue stone is like super dense and it's attached like to a weight, so it's lower down, so it should be less affected by the wave, right? So think of it like the wave hits the boat, right? And it acts almost like an anchor, right? The wave hits the boat starts to move this way, but the drogue stone doesn't move as much, right? And so then the tension on the rope acts as a like counteracting force. I know I said to think about this, then I immediately forces. So it's gonna act to like pull the boat back, right? By the way, your suspension system is there's springs, right? So as the road is bumpy, the tires are still affected and they're going up and down, but they're compressing and like that up and down action is compress springs, and so the motion of the object on top isn't as much because most of that energy is being absorbed in the spring. Anyway.
My Unfinished Journey for $6.66 says, Hail Nero, hail Daps and Maddie, and hail Drogue Stones for whatever that matters, with an eye roll emoji. Thank you very much, My Unfinished Journey.
Thank you.
amazing that Noah's Ark would use that kind of technology.
Well, okay, one, it's not that amazing. But two, literally, we still have no reason to think that it did. Because you're one, in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Two, there's no evidence of the arc.
Yeah.
Three, the entire story is physically impossible. That's about it. That's all I need. Yeah.
Yeah. But also, let's think about, like, I have a boat and I go into the water and I'm fishing. Boy, I sure wish my boat could stay still while I was fishing. I know, I'll drop something heavy. We invented an anchor. Great. Hey, when I'm anchored, the boat doesn't move as much with the waves. I wonder if I could use that while I was sailing. But I could still move. I would just drop it down, but not all the way. Great, you invented a drogue stone. Like, it's that's it.
You can
right?
tell
Like,
Maddie was in the Navy. She knows all the Navy things, like anchors.
I know about anchors and also, like, lines.
Ooh. Do you know which way is port?
I do know which way is port.
Which way is port?
Port is to your left when you are facing the stern of the ship.
Okay. Which way is starboard?
Starboard is right under those same conditions. If you're flipped around and facing the aft end of the ship, then you have larboard, which would be to your left, and I actually forget what right is when you're facing aft.
Sapphire, big swamp light for $2 says they were carved by secret post-flood Baptists. You know what? The landmarkists might actually agree with you. Mayan Finish Sock for $2
Right.
says, don't be thirsty like Dapper, like and share instead. Or just be both. Do both those things. All of it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Dapper, what's it called? What is your right called when you're facing aft?
I don't know. I was asked today how the bell system works, and I didn't know. I forgot most of
I have
that
to
stuff.
Google it now. What is right?
I never learned the bell system because I had this piece of technology called a watch. And whenever I needed to know what time it was, I looked at my watch instead of trying to rely on like this arcane systems of bells coming over the ship's intercom system, like some kind of Stone Age savage.
The next amazing find is they found the cover that Noah placed over the ark.
Did they? Because that looks like a rock with striations, but okay, here we go.
As far as we know, there's nothing else like this anywhere.
There's nothing like a rock with striations on it? Also, wasn't the cover supposed to be made of wood? That doesn't look like wood to me.
Nobody's ever.
I would like everyone to know
Oh my goodness.
that
got
when I
crosses.
Googled larboard, it just gave me port and starboard, and I'm very upset about it.
Sorry.
Also, I just used the word stern incorrectly, so you can take away my Navy badge.
Yeah, I wasn't going to call you out.
That's okay. Okay, continue. I've got to find what the opposite of larboard is.
That are very faintly carved on it. You got a big one here. You got a small one right there. One here. You ever seen? It looks like a little bit like pine bark.
It sounds like metal.
Anchor stone being wood.
This isn't an anchor stone.
Oh, I see.
At one point it says, and Noah came out of the ark.
So okay, can we all agree this is just some people who really want to find evidence of Noah's Ark, and they're doing some pareidolia on a rock with striations. Like that's just
Yeah,
literally
also-
what's happening right now.
Wikipedia just told me that I was wrong, and that larboard is actually means port, and it was replaced with port later in time because larboard sounded too much like starboard. But I thought,
You know, Maddie, you don't have to just openly remove all your Navy cred while we're streaming. It's fine.
but I feel like I don't think it's good to be wrong and then discover it and not yourself.
That's fair. That's fair. But also, are
Like,
they
I think
suggesting
it's-
that this is one piece of wood? Because it's pretty hard to get pieces of wood that big. And are the striations the wood grain? Because they vaguely resemble striations, or wood grain. But okay, this might not be all that surprising to you, but I've spent a fairly long amount of time looking at and trying to use math to recreate wood grain in a believable way. Because
I believe you.
yeah, that's actually a fairly common thing that comes up in CGI is you want to have a way to put wood grain on something that's made of wood in CG that doesn't easily have a way to apply 2D textures to it, right? So you come up with a procedural way to do it. And yeah, to do that, you have to look at a lot of wood grain. And this doesn't look like wood grain. This looks like a rock with striations.
And he took the cover off, or he threw the cover off. This is a rather unique thing. It has the appearance and the texture of some kind of a bark.
But it doesn't. And also, okay, I'm going to take a drink. I'm just going to take a drink. Maddie, have you ever seen carpentry?
Sure.
Have you ever seen a boat made of wood?
I absolutely have.
In those contexts, how much bark was used?
In the context I have seen, effectively none. I'm actually trying to think of if dugout canoes left the bark on or not.
Nope.
I don't know.
They generally did not.
I've never seen a dugout canoe.
Because that's less aerodynamic, so they took it off. Not hydrodynamic, sorry. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, you don't generally keep the bark on the lumber that you're using. So
Nope.
no,
You sure don't.
but this guy's desperate. I thought he was going to say that was wood grain, but no, he's going with bark, which is even crazier. Also, it doesn't look a whole lot like bark. It kind of vaguely looks like oak bark, but only if you squint.
Yeah.
That is so gross.
Right?
That is so gross.
There you go.
That is incredible.
It has
What is he hitting that with? Because it sounds like he's hitting it with like a metal canteen or something.
Yeah.
very hollow sound.
Very hollow. It sounds like metal.
Show us what you were hitting it with, because I don't believe that that was the rock sound being made when you hit it with your hand or something. But no, we don't get to know. Oh, good. We get a Casey quote. We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. Well,
that feels like telling on ourselves coming from a young Earth creation.
Yeah. Also, it kind of feels like we're getting there. We're getting there.
I'm trying to come up with a procedural way to make wood grain look sick, if you'll excuse me.
Oh, I mean, I can send you my note setup that I used for the galvanic rifle that I made. It's very good.
Ooh, that's cool.
It uses a lot of noise textures. Sometimes what I do is I take a wave texture, that's just like a sine function, and then I'll distort the mapping on the sine function via a Perlin noise function. That works pretty well.
Well, in my mind, what you would want is basically to start with like parallel lines.
That's the wave function.
Right? Cool. That are then spaced like the spacing between each line should be like random within a set of parameters, right?
And that's my Perlin noise function.
Cool. And then is kind of superimpose on top of that some degree of wiggle.
The Perlin noise function also does that.
Okay, great. And then some probability of the pattern being distorted by what is a knot.
A whirl or a knot, yeah.
You get this like point distortion that locally creates circles, right?
Voronoi noise.
That disrupts the pattern and grows to some arbitrary, like again, it's going to grow. You should have like a not quite a coin flip, right? It's right.
It's called a Voronoi texture. These are all solved problems. I've already done it. I'm telling you how. I'm answering your question.
I don't recognize those words.
Oh, a Voronoi pattern. So a Voronoi pattern, first you scatter some points randomly in space, right? And then you just measure the distance to the point at every other point that isn't the point. And that gives you a set of cells. And if you cut off the distance function before they get to the very edge, it creates spheres in space. But if all you're getting is a 2D cross-section, those are circles.
Okay, yeah. Brilliant.
Math, everybody. We're
Math.
doing math. Just
Noah's flood
okay.
represents the single most detailed event to ever take place in the Bible.
Is it though? Because I feel like the crucifixion might be more detailed.
Yeah, that was my gut instinct.
Yeah.
Was what about the crucifixion?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a drink for Noah's flood is the most detailed story in the Bible. What about the entirety of the Exodus, Matt? That's a one big story. Exodus seems like it's a way more detailed story, but okay. Heck, you might even argue that Job is more detailed. Well, maybe not. It doesn't give the names of Job's kids, whereas Noah's kids do get named. So, okay, maybe not. It's just longer.
The Apostle Peter and Jesus himself.
Well, they referred to it, but just like, we have
Like
Plato
I'll
putting
refer to the flood.
Yeah, I will too. Or heck, I'll refer to the Lord of the Rings sometimes. I don't think that happens.
No, like I have a good example, right?
Okay, go ahead.
I'll refer to the flood when people start talking about the rapture.
Also, drink for gremlins.
Right? Okay, drink for gremlins. Because there's that verse in Matthew that's like, as in the time of Noah, 2 will be standing in a field and 1 will be gone and 1 will stay, right? Yeah. And they're like, that's the rapture. And I love to point out, like, well, in Noah's flood, was it the righteous who were blown away, who were pulled away, right? And the righteous who stayed.
Yeah, it was the righteous who stayed.
It's the righteous who stayed. Therefore, rapture theology broken.
The context of that verse makes it pretty clear that staying is the preferable option.
Yeah, it does. But I've had this conversation more than once, right? With people who are like talking about rapture stuff. And but in that context, I'm just flood as if it were that, right? Yeah. Even though I do not believe that it is real, right? And so my point being, you can talk about Noah's flood as real without endorsing it as a true historical event.
Yeah. I mean, the same thing happens all over the place, right? Like when we have Plato putting the legend of... Great. I'm back, Maddie. When we have Plato mentioning like the legend of Atlantis, that's not actually an indication that Plato believed in a real Atlantis people.
Yeah. Clearly he actually believed in Puplantis, which is run by merpups, and you can yourself become a merpup when it's the mer moon, and a merpup comes up and beats you on the nose.
That was a lot of information. Also, someone pointed out in chat how pretty... Yeah. Someone mentioned in chat just how pretty Jesus is in this picture, and yeah, that is a very pretty Jesus.
Pretty. Yeah. That's
seems
some like romantic lighting.
Yeah, he seems like the kind of Jesus who should probably be doing makeup tutorials on YouTube.
No, that's more Tisha Adams level, right?
Okay. Actually, speaking of makeup, I came across a YouTube channel that's someone sitting down and telling like ghost stories, but as she does so, she's putting on makeup, and I'm very confused about the putting on makeup part because I don't know what it adds to the telling of a ghost story. But she's just sitting there and she'd be like putting on foundation and then like putting on some like, rouge and eyeliner and eyeshadow, and then every once in a while she gets to a point where like it's hard for her to talk, so like this video will just speed up while she applies more makeup, and then it's back to the ghost story. And I'm like, this is a very strange corner of YouTube I've wandered into. What is happening right now?
Dapper, I hate to break it to you, but like makeup plus story time is an incredibly common YouTube genre.
Well, it's not one I had encountered before.
I would like to introduce you to Bailey Sarian and Makeup Murder.
I didn't hear the last part. Makeup what?
Makeup Murder Mondays.
Okay. Well, look, I'm not saying
about true crime while getting ready.
I'm not saying I disliked the content. I just wasn't sure what the makeup added. But apparently it adds something for some people. I don't know.
It does. It's a genre.
Hey, good for the creators who do that, and good for the people who enjoy it. I didn't dislike it. I just thought it was weird.
Yeah.
You gonna tell us what this is? Oh, okay. I guess we just have to read it. Uses of the word day, yom, outside of Genesis, day plus number 410 times always means an ordinary day. Oh, he's just giving us this is why Genesis should be taken literally. To which I just respond like, oh, okay, cool.
Does the poem in Genesis 1 mean a day? Sure. Should you take that literally? No.
Actually, can you take it literally and also take Genesis 2 literally? No, because they contradict each other.
Yeah. That's fair. Wait, isn't there like...
There are hermeneutic attempts to unify them, but I don't think any of them work.
Yeah. I never mind. I was trying to remember a lot of scripture off the top of my head, and it's late and I'm tired, and I've had quite a bit of high alcohol content beer. So.
Remember, when things die on land, they get eaten or degrade rather fast.
That depends.
Typically,
but not always. Sometimes.
Typically doesn't mean always.
Sometimes they get covered by something, like a landslide.
Yeah.
The odds of life dying to make the quantity of oil that we find on Earth today is best explained by the flood.
Matt, why?
Oh my gosh.
Why? Okay, first of all, why are you showing me theropods when talking about oil? Because oil is primarily made of compressed plant matter, like coal. So it has nothing to do with dead theropods. I mean,
I don't think he knows that.
Oh, okay. Also, Matt, the amount of oil and coal is really high. It's actually too high for all the organisms that went into making it up to have lived at the same time on the same planet, which means it's not a problem for a long period of time, but it sure is a problem if you think they all died during the course of a 1-year flood. So let's take a drink for Raw Matt once again giving us a reason to not accept Noah's flood. Thanks, Raw Matt. You know, I've been thinking. I actually do think that Raw Matt is dumber than Matt Powell. I think Matt Powell is possibly more vile, but I think Raw Matt is dumber.
Yeah.
That's where I'm landing so far.
Yeah. I buy that.
And you, just as a virtue of your name, you have to deal with me with the absolute bottom of the barrel of creationists.
I know.
Yeah.
If I come up with a different pun, could we listen to someone else?
Yeah. Actually, at one point we did. We listened to some Matt McLean, and he's much better than Raw Matt or Matt Powell. But he also has
he is Matt McLean, best Matt of the three. Of the Matt Younger
right. But the problem is he has a much lower output rate.
Yeah.
And a lot of his output is just like, I wrote this thing for like Creation Research Quarterly, which is like, have you ever read something from the Creation Research Quarterly?
Yeah.
It's so boring and so bad.
Well, it's like, what's really hard for me is reading it is it's cosplaying scientific literature, right? And so it has the dry boringness of science literature, but then you get like whiplash from like, and then God, and I was like, what is happening?
Yep. It's like, then suddenly there was a miracle. I was like, hold on. What?
Wait a minute. That's not
how science papers work.
So like the intended audience is one.
Yeah, that's the thing. So creation journals, they only exist for show. So that you can point out, like, look, we publish papers about creationism. Look at all these papers. And then you look, and yeah, they look like papers. But the thing is, they might as well just be blocks of lorem ipsum text for all the difference it makes.
Yeah. And again, there's a reason. As someone who, in fact, today was scientific papers, there's a reason that nonsense isn't going to get published in a real journal, right? Like, there's a reason they had to make, because when they're making young earth creationist claims, it
doesn't match the evidence, I think is what you just said.
I said it doesn't pass muster, but doesn't meet the evidence also works too.
Okay. So you're still cutting out every once in a while. I don't know why. It's probably a bad connection.
It probably is. I'm not normally I'm connected. I make sure to be connected to the Ethernet for these streams, but I had to be on my laptop instead of my desktop, and my desktop is plugged into the Ethernet, and it's a whole thing.
Yeah, no, I get it. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
It's also safe to say that the fossil record is not valid when we find evidence of discrepancies in the record. And
What?
What is that? It's not valid.
Valid
when we find
evidence of discrepancies.
That would just mean that we would need to adjust our view of the fossil record, Matt, because that's new evidence coming in. What do you what do you mean it's not valid?
What he just said is any evidence that counters the claim I just made is not valid and you should throw it out. Right? Why? Because trust me.
I think he actually said
can't.
Any evidence that isn't in line with the claim that you're making means that you're just obviously wrong about everything.
Yeah.
I think that actually might be what he's going for. I'm not sure.
guess what? We do. The
Like what?
upside-down geologic column in Pakistan is one such place.
Hey guys, sediments can be upthrust and folded, and that's it. That's the whole explanation for why sometimes the record comes in backwards. And also, hey, here's a fun fact. There are ways that you can determine which side of a rock was the upside when it was deposited. And you know what happens in regions where the geological column is arranged upside down? So too are the individual rocks. Which means that this had to happen after deposition. So
that's crazy, Dapper. That can't be right.
Yeah, let's just take a drink for Matt not understanding upthrust and folding, which are pretty basic geological concepts. There's a reason that Steno's law starts with in undisturbed beds rather than just always higher rocks are younger than lower rocks. Yeah, there's a reason Steno had to put that in there. It's because unlike Raw Matt, Steno apparently had a brain.
Wild.
Yep.
At the foot of the Karakoram Mountains in the Salt Range Formation.
At the foot of the mountains that you just showed forming as a result of upthrust from the ocean floor in one of your animations, coming up as a result of the collision of the Indian subcontinent with the Asian plate, or the Eurasian plate, sorry. Those mountains, Matt?
Almost like some deformation. It's almost like these rocks are deforming.
Yeah, I'm taking a drink for him just showing us in this video why this is such a dumb argument. So, yeah. Then I'm taking Gremlins, and in case anyone's wondering, I'm drinking a Belgian white. This is going so well.
Scientists have discovered fossilized plants and insects. From the evolutionary...
Did you just say insects? Insects? I feel like you put an extra T.
He might have misspoken.
Insects. Whatever.
But...
Oh, there goes Discord. Thanks, Discord. Oh, let's take another drink for the Gremlins.
Well, I was just saying that I am not one to comment on anyone's inability to speak today of all days.
Yeah, that's fair. Look, it's not entirely fair that I make fun of Raw Matt about this stuff. It's not entirely fair that I make fun of Raw Matt about this stuff. So
you can do it.
Perspective, these remains belong to the upper part of the geological column. However, this formation lies beneath the Cambrian rock, which is dated back to over 400 million years. Discoveries such as these support the biblical version of the Earth's history, whereby the geological column is primarily a consequence of the global flood and its aftermath.
Okay, but Matt, you already showed us why this happened, right? You showed us the folding of the mountains. You showed us that.
They're folded.
So why do you think this is a problem?
Yeah.
Hold on. Are people still seeing what's it? Buffering? Try refreshing if you're buffering. Okay.
It is no surprise that there is some order to the fossil record, such as sea creatures buried beneath land creatures, and mobile creatures such as birds near the top.
Yeah, but Matt, there's a few problems with that. One, we have sea creatures all the way up to the top, right? And second, I just want to point out that there's this thing called pterosaurs, right? Pterosaurs are a thing that have existed, and
Yeah, they exist.
They too could fly. So why is it that we always find pterosaurs stopping at a certain point in the geological column when they could have just flown with the birds? In fact, for some periods, we find both pterosaurs and birds, so we know they could fly together. Like, there wasn't some kind of thing about, like, the atmosphere that prevented them from both flying. So why do we not find, like, Paleogene pterosaurs, Matt? Why is it that, like, an albatross could escape the flood, but, like, Pteranodon couldn't?
And also, why is it that there are, like, certain types of critters who are, like, small and crawly? So, like you only find, like, trilobites in certain levels, right? And then above that, you can find other things that lived in similar environments and were of a size.
And had
but you
similar
don't
niche.
see those- yeah, and had a similar niche, but you don't see them at the same levels of the trilobites. You only see them above them.
Yep.
So how did that happen?
Yep. And also, why are there clams all the way up? Did the clams run for the hills? What's our solution for this? That's the problem with all
Also,
of the. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Why are there no animal fossils in the Appalachian Mountains?
There's some animal ichnofossils.
Fair. But my point being, if all of these things happen at the same time,
Right.
why do we have some mountain ranges, right, with fossils of, like, big old things, right, but not in other mountain ranges?
Yeah, it doesn't actually make sense in any of the sorting mechanisms that are proposed. Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? Being Sharper does point out, but did you ever consider nuh-uh? I had not considered nuh-uh.
I had not considered.
Yeah.
You're right.
All right.
You're right.
Maddie, we're almost at the 1 hour mark for this video.
Deborah, we've gotten through like 8 minutes of this tonight.
And that's while all of my programs are constantly crashing.
I'm so proud of us. You don't even know.
We're doing well considering, which I'm really hoping that I don't need to do like a new computer fund. I already did one of those.
What is this graphic?
Oh, it's supposed to be like geological layers and fossils, but it's clearly just a bunch of clip art that someone threw together with no care.
I know, like, why is there one giant, like, cartoon fish skeleton?
Well, that's the whale from Jonah.
Oh, okay.
Or it's flood ancestor.
I bet he was tasty.
I mean, I've seen whale in a grocery store, but I've never eaten it. I was in Japan.
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of things in the grocery store in Japan when I was there, but I didn't know what any of them were because I don't speak Japanese.
But, since as the Salt Range Formation testifies, the ordered charts that adorn textbooks aren't always what they find in the field. Many results today have kicked evolution hard in the dirt. They have
Matt,
wild.
The only example you can
like
give, wind a few seconds just so we can get a full sentence from Matt next time. But that being said, what do you got coming up? Anything that people need to know about?
Listen, May 1st, which is a Friday, at 2 Pacific, which is 4 p.m. my time, I'm going to be on Kip's channel, and we're going to be making fun of Wes Huff, because Wes Huff went on Piers Morgan tonight and made some science claims that are very stupid, and I'm very excited to make fun of him for it. Thank you. Nice.
All right. So this week I'm going to try and go fast so we can get out of here and I can go like restart my computer and try doing some other stuff. So tomorrow I don't have anything. Thursday I've got a premiere. I'm going to be premiering my chat with Peter Markley over on Craig's channel. Peter Markley at the time was a young Earth creationist. He has since sent me a message directly saying that he is no longer a young Earth creationist. Although I don't think it was my talk that did it. In fact, he said it was not primarily that talk. So, you know, but it's still an interesting talk. And basically what I was endeavoring to do for a lot of it was show him the degree to which his arguments or his arguments for young Earth creationism or objections to science directly parallel the argumentation of flat earthers. And Peter Markley, if you don't know, is a guy who does a lot of flat earth debunking. So I wanted to help him see where that is. And I do think he did see it in a few places. In fact, I think he does say that he does see that in a few places in the video. So that's going to be at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Then on Friday, we should actually be doing session 2 of the D&D game that Chesh is running. I think it's only going to be like 5 sessions, so you know we're not taking a very long time with that one. Then on Saturday at noon, I want to take a look at Amin Hillman, who is a guy who says a lot of things, but what I want to take a look at specifically are his reasons for saying that the Septuagint is actually the original Old Testament and that the Hebrew was translated from the Septuagint into Hebrew, and that Hebrew is itself a constructed language that was created by the Greek scribes who wrote the Septuagint, which is a whole lot of stuff to say.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. So that's what's coming up. And then next Tuesday, Jackson with Jackson. I have confirmed with Jackson that he is up for that. Also, speaking of Jackson, I'm going to be back on his channel, I believe, on the 30th, and we're going to be talking to Craig again, who was a young Earth creationist who we talked to last time. Hopefully my computer will be working better by then. But I don't know, because I don't know why it's broken now. But anyway, yeah, that's going to be our show. I'm going to go try to fix my computer. I hope everyone has a wonderful, safe rest of your night, and ice must be abolished.
Hey, before you leave, I just want to take a second to thank my patrons and channel members, especially those pledging $20 or above.
Sealoof, Ben Tovind, Tapioca Weasel, Mikau Dominiak, Sammy LaFleur, Edwin M., Kenneth Swenson, John Ackerman, Sphincter of Doom, Regios, Landon Knoll, Ian Chen, Eleron Teller, Phil Rivara, David Hercules, Joshua Geese, Dan Sheedy, Pegajace, The Plastic Mouse, Gordon Loves Science, Amber Athelian, Prixie Purple, Agricola Sequa, and Me, Myself, and I.
It's because of my channel members and patrons whom you're seeing on screen that this channel can stay afloat. Without you, it would all shut down. If you want to join the team, there's a link to join the channel below this video, and there's a link to join the Patreon in the description. On the Patreon, you can get a 15% discount for pledging annually, and either way, you get early access to virtually all of my scripted videos months before they come out for the general public. Thanks for watching.